They don't get to say they're conservative because they're angry and they're chaotic. That's not the party I belong to. The party of Reagan was if you believed in your principles that you could govern in a conservative way. They are not conservatives and they do not have the right to have the title.
I have no advice to give to House Republicans except one. I hope whoever the next speaker is gets rid of the motion to vacate.
The search for a permanent House Speaker could be long and chaotic, and while members of the Republican leadership, including Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, have thrown their hats in the ring, the path forward looks precarious.
I think this whole narrative about every member of existing leadership taking one step up is bull.
Are there members that will not move on from Kevin McCarthy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
The challenge in getting a new speaker right now is convincing members on both the right and the left at the GOP conference to come together. There's currently a lack of trust between those two sides, and as we saw with the McCarthy speaker fight back in January, just a handful of holdouts can block a new leader.
I think you've got a real divide. I think you've got a real institutional problem.
Speaking following the vote to remove him, Kevin McCarthy opened up as to how we got here.
I think today was a political decision by the Democrats. And I think the things they have done in the past hurt the institution when they just started removing people from committee.
Mr. McCarthy was likely referring to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was stripped of her right to serve on committees in February of 2021 by a then Democratic-controlled House.
You would think that the Republican leadership in the Congress would have some sense of responsibility to this institution.
Yes, the Georgia Congresswoman embraced conspiracy theories and continues to alienate more moderate conservatives today. But she won her state's 14th congressional district by a landslide.
The yeas are 230 and the nays are 199.
In that vote, 11 Republicans voted alongside Democrats.
I wonder if they put that same standard somewhere else, because never in the history of Congress has people been deciding where other parties are putting people on committees.
2 years later, and Kevin McCarthy reciprocated, giving the boot to Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell, who until then had been serving on the House Intelligence Committee.
How can you, on the one hand, suggest that these are some kind of legitimate basis for unseating Democrats from committees and put someone like George Santos on any committee? The hypocrisy just grabs you by the throat.
The point is, Democrats had set a precedent which since then has only deepened divisions within both parties.
The divisions aren't just between the right and left. You now have within the GOP, a bulk of the conference wants to get spending bills passed, wants to use those as leverage against the Democratic Senate and White House and notch some incremental gains on spending and policy. But you have another smaller faction that just wants to burn the joint down, to embrace a shutdown, and who just showed that they were willing to depose a sitting speaker in aid of that goal. And they have the votes to produce gridlock.
A speaker has not been elected. A speaker has not been elected. A speaker has not been elected.
I'm ready to vote all night, all week, all month, and never for that person.
The House stands adjourned until noon tomorrow.
In January 2023, it took 15 votes for Mr. McCarthy to win the speakership, and that was only after he agreed to a rules change that meant any lawmaker could file a motion to vacate.
I hope one thing is clear after this week. I never give up.
10 months later,
the office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
My fear is the institution fell today. You have 96% of your entire conference, but 8 people can partner with the whole other side. How do you govern?
I think it makes the Speaker's job impossible, and the American people expect us to have a functioning government.
Remember too that before the ouster vote, Democrats had settled on a deal with the House Speaker that would prevent a government shutdown.
For them to make a motion on me because I made a decision for the country that they agreed with, but they choose to do the other, that becomes a problem.
For now, the search for Speaker continues, but whether the role remains a poisoned chalice may depend on repeal of the motion to vacate.
Any way you look at this, the House GOP came out of this fight weaker, even as the clock ticks down to another possible shutdown. The only strength this small GOP majority has is its unity, and until it figures out how to get behind a leader and act as one, it will continue to lose battles to Democrats.